the three main reasons that I have concluded that the reasons why people believe in a God is either for out of fear, greed, and guilt. Fear, greed, and guilt. Those are the three main reasons why individuals believe in God. There are other reasons, however, when we break it down, they will usually fall under those three categories. So, for example, uh, again, so however, when we explore, I'll get to the examples in a bit, but when we explore those three main categories, fear, greed, and guilt, thank you for joining the stream, we will see that we will come to a conclusion that all humans, for the most part, are selfish by nature, because our nature is to look out for numero uno, number one, first and foremost, before anything or anyone else. So by nature, we do almost everything with some type of expectation to receive a benefit from it. In many cases, we do not do anything out of the goodness of our heart. Even in many cases, when something appears to be done out of the goodness of our heart, it still has some ego, some false self, some praise, some recognition needed behind the act as well. So again, fear, greed, and guilt. So with these three factors involved, most of our decisions in life in general, like I say, we are generally a selfish being. If we look at almost everything we do, it is because of something that we are trying to achieve, something that we want, and it's also because of the two main major fundamental principles behind everything that we do in this life is to, one, either reduce or eliminate suffering, or two, end suffering that will relieve us to bring happiness. So relieve suffering and achieve happiness is the two main root causes for everything that we do, which is why so like I said, the root causes of believing, having some type of belief in any type of deity, any type of God, something of that sort, or uh, is because of three main factors: greed, guilt, and fear. These are the three major concepts that drive us to believe in a higher power, or some entity that we call God. It's either for three of those things: either greed, we want something, we feel guilty because of our behaviors, and then fear, we fear dying, we fear going to hell or something of the sort. Our beliefs in these deities is because of those three major fundamentals: greed, guilt, and fear. And then, like I said as well, we are naturally selfish individuals by nature. Humans are naturally selfish. So therefore, everything that we do, for the most part, we do it to get some type of gain. It is very rare that individuals do something out of the goodness of their heart and they don't expect anything back, or they don't want anything back. And even when they do something from the goodness of the heart, they're still expecting some type of acknowledgement. They're still expecting to get some type of praise or something. So at the core, again, at the very core of our nature, we are very selfish beings. So again, everything that we do has some type of selfish hidden motivation behind it, no matter what. And that same thing will apply as I go on. You will see as I go on and greater, deeper philosophical concept, you will see the same reasons apply to why we believe in what we believe in as well. We believe in these deities or whatever they may be because of either greed, fear, or guilt. And as time goes on, you guys will see that as well. Buddhists, the Hindus, and more Eastern philosophies, the root cause of all suffering is to not know thyself
However, that is also connected to desires, because having desires, and by no means I am saying that you should not have any desires, because we live in the world, we need to have some things. However, when our desires become more stronger than who we are, we tend to do anything to achieve those desires. So the root cause again is desires, having, wanting, cannot get enough, and that will all fall into the greed category as we go on. I will elaborate a lot more and break those subjects down as we go on. But again, like I said, the root cause of most of our suffering has to do with desires, wanting something, feeling that we do not have something. And again, if you go back and watch my video, Who Am I? That is going to break this down. It's going to complement this video again, because this is a continuation of that video. So having these desires for things externally and things that we perceived to be the root of our happiness. However, when we do achieve these things, we later find out shortly that we did not achieve the happiness from these objects. When we thought that we thought originally when we get the job, the dream job that we wanted, we would be happy. However, that is not the case. There are many individuals that has their dream jobs are totally miserable. And sometimes we believe that when we get the right partner, we are going to be happy. And then we find the person, and over time, that too is going to be is going to be very disappointing to us as well. So that goes on to say money, anything that we could think of objectively is not the root cause of happiness. And from an Advaita Vedanta perspective, through the only true solution to happiness is to know thyself, to come to the clear understanding of who you are, the one self, the I-ness, the being, the pure consciousness, the pure awareness, the ultimate that has no lack, that has no need, that has no want. However, until we come to that realization, there will always be suffering. So again, back to what I was saying, the three main root causes of this suffering comes from either fear, greed, or guilt, which is why we believe in a God. However,
So let me just recap briefly. According to the Buddhists and the Hindus, specifically the Buddhists, they believe that the root cause of all suffering is desire. Desire for whatever it may be. The root cause is desire. Desire for money, desire for love, desire for relationships, the desire for sex, the desire for any type of anything that you could think of. According to the Buddhists, the root cause of all suffering is desire. And according to the Buddhists, the only reason that we suffer is because we do not know who we are at the core. So if we knew who we were at the core, then the suffering will be eliminated according to the Buddhists. That is what they're saying, that if we knew who we were at the core, the suffering will cease. But because we do not know who we are, the suffering will persist. And so, therefore, when we try to get all of these things, we try to get all of these material things, and we try to get all of these other things, thinking that, hey, when I get this job, I'm going to be happy. When I get this money, I'm going to be happy. When I get this car, I'm going to be happy. And by no means necessary am I saying that you should not have any desires to get anything. That is not what I'm saying at all. I am simply saying is that if you think about it, when we want certain things, and we don't get those things, we get disappointed. And when we get disappointed, we feel some type of sorrow, we feel some type of grief, we feel some type of pain, and we feel sad. And that is what the Buddhist is talking about. They're talking about the concepts that create the suffering is desire. Again, like I said, I'm not saying that you should not have any desire. I'm not saying that you should just go through life and not want anything. I'm not saying that you should not pursue having things. I'm simply saying is that the root of all suffering is desire. And so when we get our understanding of who we are at the core, then we will understand first and foremost what we are, what is the cause of the suffering by not knowing who we are. And when we do know who we are, then some of the suffering will be eliminated. And so the same thing applies again. Like I said again, the reason why we do, as I go on in this video, you guys will understand why is this video titled "God is a Stepping Stone: The Truth They Never Told You." You guys will understand that a lot more clearer what I'm talking about, because the title somewhat, as we go on, you will see what I'm talking about. Why did I say God is a stepping stone? Because again, like I said, we believe either because of fear, greed, or guilt. And as time goes on, that will become a lot more clear as I expound on some of those facts as well.
Like I said, also, we are naturally selfish by nature. Therefore, it is very almost impossible to quench this thirst once we do not know who we are. We will always need more. We will always want more, no matter what. That is why some people can never be happy no matter what. There are people with has everything, and they are still unhappy. They have everything physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. They have all of these things, and they are still unhappy. So that should tell you again, these people might have everything from an objective perspective, but they still do not know who they are, which is actually the source of all happiness and the source of reducing or ending suffering. So again, we believe.
So, like I was saying again, too, that is why, according to this concept, that is why I said that there are people who have everything. Literally, from an objective perspective, they appear to have all the money in the world. They have, I mean, generation wealth. They have money that they cannot spend. They have money that their kids can't spend, and they still are unhappy. They have every particular material thing that you could think of, and they are still happy. And because, according to these teachings, they are unhappy because they do not know who they are. That is what we're talking about, not knowing who you are. So anytime you don't know who you are at the core, there will also be suffering. And so therefore, as time goes on, we will see that not knowing who we are as well is also going to be related to why we have the certain beliefs that we do have about God and these particular entities, and whatever the case may be, these higher powers, or whatever we want to call it. We'll see that not knowing who we are is also at the root cause of us having these particular beliefs without having any evidence to believe what we believe. And again, I'm not saying that you should or you should not have any beliefs. I'm just educating you guys to question why you believe what you believe and look at the root cause of what you believe. Is it because of guilt? Is it because of fear? Or is it because of greed? And as time goes on, I will elaborate a lot more on those three facts as well.
In God for these three reasons. And again, believing is something in itself that is not a credible thing to do and to base one happiness on, because again, like I said, please go back and watch Who Am I? That video will clarify a lot of what I'm saying as well. But beliefs also change. One day you feel one way, one day you feel another way, and your belief will change. So beliefs would fall under categories. All these type of categories are faiths, are religions. We believe in this, we believe in that, but these beliefs are not who we are. Because again, like I said, once the thing changes, it cannot, and it's not permanent, and it cannot be you. So you believe, some people believe that they are this faith, they believe that they are that faith, and however, these are not the permanent self, because one minute this person might have a particular faith, a particular belief, and if their God or their source of their belief does not deliver whatever it is that they wanted to achieve, their faith can waver and their faith could fail as well. That is why, again, I am not picking on any particular religion or belief system. I am just stating the fact. I'm going to give you an example. That is why you may have, and again, I'm not picking on any beliefs, because I don't want anybody to say, oh, I'm pointing out a particular belief. I am talking about all beliefs. That is why I said I do not believe in believing. I know what I believe to be true because I experience the things that I believe to be true. Consciousness, awareness, I am certain that these things exist. I exist. And outside of this, I cannot really say that anything else exists outside of my awareness, outside of my consciousness. The things that I'm doing right now cannot even be actually a fact. I could be, my brain could be in a vat somewhere, and I could be sitting down in the matrix plugged up to some machine somewhere and experiencing this illusory reality. And I can't prove that even the things that I see even exist. So the only thing that I am certain is that I exist and I am aware and I am conscious of the experiences. So to believe anything else other than reality for what it is to be considered delusional. So that is what.
So back to what I was saying again. So, like I said, delusional. Delusional, having a belief in something without any evidence is delusional. And however, unfortunately, it seems like the only place and the only time that we are allowed to have this delusional belief is when it comes to having a belief in God or a God. If we apply that same delusional belief in any other area in our everyday life, our life would be catastrophic. If if we let's imagine, say for example, I believe I had a job somewhere, but I never saw the job. I don't know where the job is. I never got paid from the job. I never saw the building. That will be delusional to believe I have such a thing. Imagine me saying I have a girlfriend or a wife, but no one never saw this girl. I never saw the girl. No one ever saw this. There's no birth record of this girl or anything of that sort. I would be considered delusional. So, like I'm saying, in the area of religion, this is the only area in life that we are allowed to be delusional in, and it is accepted. And any other area that we try to be that delusional in, we will have a problem. Imagine me thinking I have $100 million in the bank, and I'm trying to go to a place to buy a $10 million house or whatever the case may be. I don't even have a bank account. I would be considered delusional. So again, believing in something that there's no actual evidence in, according to the definition of belief. Again, I'm not saying that anyone, you have the right to believe what you believe, but we need to question why we believe what we believe. What is the cause? What is motivating us to believe the things that we believe without evidence? And like I said, religion seems to be the only thing, the only area that allows such uh, a thing to exist, whereas no evidence is needed. And so again, according to delusions, once something is changeable, if it changes all the time, it's consistent, that means that the thing is not permanent. So all of our beliefs, our feelings, everything change over a period of time. One day we feel this way about this person, next day we feel another way. One day we feel about our beliefs about God, and next day we change our faith, and we're just a very fickle people, a fickle being. We tend to change based on circumstances and situation. We are a situationalship type of being. So we are followers of the herd. We are followers like the sheep following the blind. If the majority of us believe what we believe solely based on our culture, our, uh, our heritage, our family, our environment. That is why we believe what we believe. If you are born in a particular culture, a particular race, a particular people, you believe what they believe because that is the dominant belief. However, if you are born somewhere else, you would have a totally different belief. But however, our beliefs are so strong and so powerful, we are literally willing to die for our beliefs. We are willing to actually take another life for our beliefs. And that is why I'm creating these videos, so individuals would be able to question these things. Our beliefs are not harmless. Our beliefs do not exist in a bubble, inside some type of I can't remember the word, but it's not isolated from anybody else. Our beliefs do cause harm. Our beliefs do cause separation. Our beliefs do cause discrimination. Our beliefs do cause racism. Our beliefs do cause harm to others. So it's not it's not a harmless thing if you believe in the wrong thing and you have no reason to believe in it. You're not just delusional. You're delusional to the point of where you're willing to take another's life because of something that you have no evidence on. So we'll go, as I go on and on, we'll see why the title of this video is God as the stepping stone, because we will see some of the main root reasons as well to why we actually have the beliefs that we have and why we believe in the things that we believe as well.
Why I said again, if you have a belief but there is nothing to give it credence, you will be considered delusional, and you cannot really base your faith on something that you believe, because as soon as the situation changes, your belief will change as well. That is why, for example, you may have, say, someone who might be of the Christian faith, they might be of the Christian faith and they may be believing in God for X amount of years, and they love God and this and that, and then something happens to their health, or something happens to a loved one, something happens that is beyond their control, and then they ask God to heal them or heal the person or deliver the person, and the answer doesn't, they don't receive the answer that they want, then their faith changes as well. So that is one example. Then you have some individuals it doesn't believe, I'm not picking on one particular belief, Buddhism, Hinduism, any type of, someone does not, but again, Buddhist, Hinduism is a different perspective. But however, if your faith is based on something that is not internal per se, you are most likely to change when your circumstances change as well. So Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Rastafarianism, all these things, all these different Sikhism are all labels. These are labels to describe our belief systems and so forth and so forth, but they are not who we are at the core. Because one day you could see, like I said, you could see a Christian strongly believe in God, and then something happens, the child dies or something tragic happens, then they change, and then sometime I think they call it backsliding, to backslide, when the person who's supposed to be a Christian changes their faith based on circumstances. Then sometimes you could see someone maybe saying there's Rasta, have the dreads and all that and everything, and then later down the line you see them, and no disrespect when I say bald head, next minute you see them bald head, shaving or clean up and fresh up and style up, and what I'm saying, and all these other things that come along with these other things. But I'm just saying, one minute they was one way, the next day there was another way, and that applies to all beliefs, all circumstances, we have a tendency to change based on how valuable that thing is to us. And if that thing does not bring us any value, we could change on a drop of a dime or a drop.
So, like I was saying earlier also as well, the difference between knowing something and believing something, when the sun rises in the east and ends in the west every day of the week, so far so good. Like I said, something could change as time go on. Nothing was permanent for sure, but so far the sun has risen in the east and ends in the west. However, we do not have to guess and say, I believe the sun exists. We don't have to say, oh, maybe the sun exists, maybe, because we see the sun every day. We see the moon. We don't have to believe it rains. We see these things every day. So we have we really have to know the difference between knowing something and believing something. That is what this video is all about, understanding what you believe and what you know. And so that's why I said the things that we believe, they can change on a drop of a dime. We've seen this on so many occasions. There might be individuals who may have a particular faith. They may have a particular faith. There may be whatever that faith may be. Again, I'm not here to pick on any faith. I'm here to educate for the most part. I'm here to just open minds. If you're an open-minded person, if you're about mind expansion, growth, you're not a dogmatic person, you don't have any limited beliefs, this channel is for you. Please like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. However, like I was saying, we see that there might be some individuals who might be specifically, I'm not picking on anyone because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm picking on their faith. It could be any faith. But let's use a faith of the Abrahamic faith. Any faith of the Abrahamic faith, they might believe so strongly, but then after something tragic happens to a loved one, maybe they got sick, They found out that they couldn't get healed, or not healed, but they didn't get healed, and they found out that the sickness was terminal. They're gonna die, or let's say they had a child, maybe they had a newborn died. Something really tragic happened. If that person, again, that is the danger of believing, because once you believe something, your belief is based on the circumstances, and the situation is different than knowing. That is why a lot of these videos are based around knowing thyself, knowing who you are, what you are, first and foremost. Because if you have a belief system and that belief system is not solid, over a period of time, what will happen is you run the risk of actually changing your belief. One day you have a belief, and then the next day you have a different belief because the circumstances has changed. That is what I'm talking about. Our beliefs change with the situations at hand. So if we are not benefiting anything from our beliefs, when we stop benefiting from our beliefs, we change as well. That is what I'm saying. Our beliefs change based on circumstances, and that is why believing is so fickle.
Drop of a hat, whichever way it goes. So like I said, so having a belief is not, I would suggest, the way to go. I would say do some self-inquiry and know thyself, know who you are. Do not base your eternal life, your eternal soul on a belief. So that is one of the reasons why I'm creating this video, because I want to differentiate the difference between having beliefs and knowing, and the consequences of not knowing, and the consequences of believing. And the other reason is, why do people believe what they believe? So once again, the three main core reasons why people believe in a particular God is because of, one of the reasons is fear. Fear, greed, and guilt. So fear, they usually fear going to hell, they fear dying, they fear getting sick, they fear being alone, they fear all of these things. They just fear. Whatever you could think of that you fear, almost everybody has something that they are afraid of. If you ask yourself now, what is your deepest fear, you would have something to say that you're afraid of. And that is one of the problems with when it comes to beliefs, because once the individual does not know who he is or her, who she is on a much deeper level, there will always be some type of fear, because what they tend to do is they tend to base their religious or their beliefs on some type of something that is not stable. And so therefore, if you put your faith in something that is not stable, such as a belief, there will always be fear. But again, when you know yourself to be the unchanging I-ness, isness, the awareness, the consciousness, the eternalness, there is no fear. And that is one of the benefits of coming to self-realization. Fear will be eliminated because there is nothing to be afraid of. Your fear of death, your fear of sickness, your fear of all these things, losing everything, is not so much going to affect you to that degree, because you realize that these things are not actually happening to you as at all. You are actually never sick. You are actually never alone. You are never financially in despair. You are never unhappy in any situation. You are always naturally peaceful, blissful, and harmony with the true self, the one self, because that is your true nature. So fear, again, we believe in our beliefs because we think that this entity that we call God is going to save us from some type of eternal damnation, or some type of eternal punishment, or some type of punishment for our behaviors. So fear is one of the root causes into believing there is a God. Now, the people that we do not fear, for example, we usually have a natural fear in most cases for our parents. When we grew up, we had a fear for either a mom or a dad, because we felt like these people had some type of power over us, and these people could affect us in some type of negative way. So that is why we feared our parents, and that was one of the earlier beginnings of the fear, looking at someone from a mortal person, having fear, and then that transferring that fear into from a mortal human being to the concept of being afraid of God. So being afraid of our parents, we were afraid of them because they had the ability to punish us in other ways, be it physical, mentally, emotionally, They were the ones feeding us. They were the ones keeping a roof over our head. They were the ones protecting us. So we had to somewhat fear them to some degree in fear of them taking away something from us. And that same fear is the same fear that we have when it comes to God. So looking at God from a stepping stone perspective, that is one of the reasons we use God as a stepping stone, because we believe that if we do not fear this God, or we do not show any reverence to this God that we call the thing that we call God, we would be punished, or we would be persecuted in some way, turn into eternal damnation, or things of that sort. But there is no fear in love. For that record, from that perspective, from a Veda Vedanta perspective, there is no fear in love. However, we do fear this entity that we call God. And the only reason we again have the fear for our parents is because they can do something to us. And that same principle applies to God, because we believe for the fifth, third, fourth time, we believe that this entity can do something to us. It's
And just for the record, I truly thank you guys for watching.
all a belief, because again, without having any evidence per se, any factual evidence that you're going to go get burned down, and whatever the case may be, eternal damnation. In fact, that doesn't really sound too loving in general. But anyhow, I'm not here to really discredit any particular belief, but I'm just saying that the reason you fear God is because you think God has the power, just like your parents, to actually take something away from you, punish you if you've been a bad boy or a bad girl. And that is one of the fundamental reasons why you believe in God. And so therefore, because you fear your parents, you do not have the same fear that you have for your neighbors. You do not have the same fear that you have for a stranger. However, you may have some fear of your boss. You might be afraid to disrespect your boss, too, just like your parents, because you are afraid that your boss has the ability to affect your life in some type of negative way. He can fire you, she can fire you, and then you cannot pay your rent, you cannot pay your mortgage, you cannot feed your kids, you cannot do anything. So you humble yourself in the presence of your boss. Just like your parents, just like God, you are humbling, not because you are humble by nature, you are humbling out of the consequences. And let's be real, we need to really look at this and say why we believe and we understand that fear is a fundamental principle to one of the reasons why we believe in God. Again, just like your parents, just like your boss, you might fear even the bad man down the street, the man who's the bad man, the baddest, the bully in high school or kindergarten or whatever. You have some fear of this bully because you feel that this bully has the ability to punish you in some way, and you will not be able to fight back. You can't. You don't have the strength. You're not strong enough. You're not big enough. You don't have any backup. So you fear the bully also from school, from high school, from primary school. Everyone knows a bully. Everybody knows someone that they had some type of fear, had some type of fear of. The only way you didn't have any fear of anybody unless you was the bully yourself. You was the
So let me just recap, because I kind of went a little far right there. So we know that majority of us, from especially from the Abrahamic faith, we were taught to fear God. And we also know that there is no fear in God. That's God is love. So in itself is a big contradiction. However, like I said, this fear originally came from having a fear for our parents. Our parents pretty much had the ability to take things away from us when we misbehaved, when we act a certain way. Our parents were able to just treat us, ground us, or put us on probation, punishment, or not give us certain things, take away our toys, our TV, our phone, whatever the case may be. Our parents had that ability as well, and so we naturally had some type of fear about our parents. And then also, when we look at it, we see the people. When we look in life in general, we are only afraid of the people that we think has the ability to harm us in one way, shape, or form or another. We fear the people that we think have the ability to take something away from us. We fear the people that we think that has the ability to affect our life in some type of negative way. We do not fear the people. We do not fear the people who or 10,000 miles away that we believe that they can't really do anything to us, and so we don't really have that type of belief system. We don't have the we don't worry about them. Let's say, for example, I'll give you guys an example. There's a big thing going on in the world today. It is January, February, March, April. Is April the 1st, 2026, and there's many wars, there's many fights, there's many battles going on all across the globe, and many people are actually losing their lives, many people are dying, many people are being harmed. However, many of us, we are not concerned about it because they are so far away. We don't think that these people, again, these battles and these wars and these fights that are going on all around the world, all of these people are dying, all of these people are losing lives. However, because we are in a safe distance from these situations, these battles and these missiles and all these things, we don't have any fear at all. We feel safe. We don't feel like this. We feel like the war and these battles that's going on is not affecting us literally per se, so we have zero fear. But let's say some of these we were more we were in a position where some of these we were more closer to the threat, if I may say, then we would have a fear. So we do not fear things that we tend to not believe can affect us. If we don't fear the guy who looks like Steve Urkel, in school, we feared the bully. That is who we were afraid of. We were afraid of the guy who picked on everyone, the guy or the girl, whoever it was. We were afraid of the bully. So we tend to fear anyone or anything that has the ability to harm us in some way, shape, or form. And if we don't see that person as having the ability to harm us in one shape or form, we have no fear. And then if because we don't have any fear, we don't have any reverence. So therefore, the same way we have a fear for the bully, and we have a fear for our parents, and we have a fear for if the missiles were closer, we would be afraid, but we don't have that fear because we feel like we are untouchable. But however, that's another day for another topic. But the same reason we fear God is because we feel that God has the ability to punish us. We fear eternal damnation. We fear going to hell. We fear burning in the lake of fire. we we just afraid. We fear these things with our soul. We feel like if we do not do the right thing, we will be punished. And so therefore, that's like I said, your job. You fear your boss, not because you're really afraid of him per se as a person. You are afraid of the authority of the position that he holds, because you know if you disrespect him in such a way, him or her, and you lose your job, that's going to affect you negative. You can't pay your rent. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose your car. You're going to lose your family. Whatever the case may be, the repercussions of going bankrupt, that is why you really fear your boss. If your boss had no you wherever you work, let's say you work at McDonald's. I'm just making this up. You work at McDonald's, you do not fear the boss that works at Burger King. You do not fear the boss that works at another food franchise. You only fear the boss who is over you. So we fear anyone that we believe have the ability to affect us in some negative way. We fear and we hold reverence to that person. And so because we were taught that God has the power and the ability to condemn us to eternal damnation, we fear God. That is why, like I said, one of the reasons that we fear God is because we believe we could be punished if we do not act accordingly. Fear is one of the root cause. If you did not fear God, if there was never a message saying that, hey, you're going to go to hell, you're going to burn forever. If the message about God was all peace and love and you're never going to be punished for anything, nobody would have any fear at all. But however, most people wouldn't even believe it if there was no fear. So fear is one of the reasons that even from a political perspective, fear is used to control the masses. Fear is used to control the people. Everything fear is a powerful tool used by many leaders. Get the people afraid, and then boom, we have the control. The churches, the religious leaders, they say the same thing. Make the people in fear, get them to be afraid, fear God, fear hell, and boom, now we have the control. So again, this fear is something that is used throughout society. This fear is something that is used for ages. So fear in somebody, again, like I said, we fear the individuals, we fear people that actually have the ability to harm us. And if we are honest, if we are truly, truly honest, we all will look and say, you know what, that's right. I do fear God. One of the reasons I believe in God is because I fear God. I fear God to send me to hell and eternal damnation in the lake of fire. Fear is literally one of the root causes of why we believe in God.
Bully, and that is why you had no fear because you were the one doing the bullying. But most of us had somebody that we kind of tried to avoid at all costs because we felt like this person would pick on us, or this person would make fun of us, or this person would embarrass us, or put us to shame in some type of way or sort. So again, hopefully that fear thing is pretty much established. So when we look at that, we also see fear, and then we see guilt and greed. So guilt, and it doesn't have to be in a particular order. You could go fear, guilt, greed, greed, fear, guilt. It doesn't make a difference, but these are the three main principles and no particular order. But again, so guilt, the same thing applies, just like fear, the same thing applies. Oh, there's a pretty bird. You guys see the bird? Hopefully you see it, I don't know. See? All this love, you know what I'm saying? But anyhow, I hope you see the bird. But anyhow, back to my story. So this guilt that we have also is one of the reasons why we believe in God, because whenever we do certain things, just like from early childhood, our parents, our earthly gods, if I may say, were the ones who first started to instill guilt in us. They were the ones who told us, you know, do not do this, be nice to your sister, be kind to your sister, do not steal, do this to your brother, do not do that to your cousin, be this way, be that way. And they always scolded you for doing something, whatever it may be, something embarrassing you maybe didn't, you know, something that you didn't do, you didn't clean your room up, or whatever the case may be, something that you did, you just really, and that's where we even have psychology. We have some people who they may consider anal, I think it's called anal retentive. I think that's what it's called, but either way, Sigmund Freud type thing. And from early childhood, you was, you know, maybe scolded for not having issues when it came down to potty training issues, and those your parents kind of made embarrassed you in that area, and they tried it because you maybe released yourself once or twice uncontrollably, and then they kind of made you feel bad about it, and then you grew up that way, holding things in, and all these different psychological issues that you had because you felt shame and guilt from a child, early childhood. You felt this guilt because the parents again instilled this guilt in you, and just like the way the parents instilled the guilt in you, the same thing applies when you look at your heavenly God. You feel like you don't want to make God be ashamed. You have shame of your actions, whatever they may be. Whatever you do, you know, whatever bad things that you may perceive to be bad, that this God is gonna not be too pleased with. You feel some guilt and shame and embarrassment, and so you feel like if you serve this God or you follow this God is going to forgive you, just like your parents when they tell you, you know, good job, you like that. And when your parents tell you bad job, bad kid, or whatever, you don't like that. You don't like being scolded, but you do appreciate some type of positive recognition. And the same psychology goes into the belief that God does the same thing for us as well. God is punishing us or God is rewarding us in some way, shape, or form. So we try to go to God so God could remove the guilt and the shame from our behaviors. Whatever our behaviors may be it positive or negative, we think that God is the one going to reward us or punish us for these guilty or positive acts of kindness or acts of hate or whatever the case may be. Again, and that also is connected to the fear as well, being afraid that God will do these things to us, because we feel guilty when we lie, we feel guilty when we steal, we feel guilty when we do these things. However, those things are not necessarily uh, because, this is a controversial subject. I am going to say something off the wall. Most individuals believe that there needs to be a God for someone to be moral. However, there are many atheists. Those people are also moral without there being a God, because morality is something that is instilled in us in the heart. We know what is right from wrong, whether we ignore it or we do it or not. We know we should not do certain things, harm somebody. We do it either way, but either way, you do not have to have a creator telling you what is right from wrong. We know because we do not want someone to steal from us, so we don't steal. We don't kill somebody because we don't want to be killed, or we don't want to do anything harmful to anybody because we don't want it to be done to us. That's why the Bible says, do unto others as you have others do unto you. So there does not need to be some overseer who is punishing your action for making you feel guilty or ashamed or whatever. That's your natural inclination, because again, consciousness is pure love, pure awareness, pure this, pure bliss, pure happiness. And when we go against that in the acts of being separate, seeing ourselves as separate beings, then we automatically will feel negative acts, feelings of shame and guilt and different things of that sort. Feeling guilty and shame and all that, those are because of feeling separate from the true source. Because if you are feeling oneness and wholeness with this thing, there will be no fear, there will be no shame, there will be no guilt, because there is no you to feel ashamed, there is no you to feel fear, and so forth and so on. So again, the guilt too is also one of the reasons we go to believe in a God, is because we feel that this God is going to is going to have mercy on us, he's going to save us, and he's going to remove all our transgressions and our bad behaviors, and we're going to be saved, and then we're going to be rewarded, and we're going to spend eternity in some place somewhere other than inside of the self. That is why Joshua, Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. And so if we continue to look outwardly, we will always find some type of disappointment in believing in things, and believing in people, and believing in places, and believing in objects. The only thing that we can be certain of is that we are aware, we exist. I am the self, I am me, and anything else we cannot really be for certain exists. That is something that most individuals may not understand until they go into deep introspection, because most individuals who are caught up in the body-mind complex, they see the world as something being outside of them. They are not aware that the world is something that is appearing inside of them. Everything happens in the back of the mind. Light travels from the object, and the light goes to the retina and the photons and all of that stuff. And there's some image that happens in the back of the mind. So everything that we see is actually internal. Actually, even watching this video, it may appear that there's a TV screen in front of you. It may appear that I'm on a screen talking to you. However, this is all happening in the mind. Everything is internal, and we are not certain about anything that is external. So, but anyhow, back to what I was saying. So this fear will be resolved once we come to understand, who am I, who is the true self. This guilt, again, this guilt, feeling guilty, feeling not enough, feeling unworthy, all of this is because of feeling separation from the true self, separated from God. And then that is why Joshua, Jesus, always says, I and the Father are one. And therefore, which brings me to another example, those teachings were supposed to be metaphorical examples of yourself. I and the Father are one. When Joshua said that, he was saying that to say that you and the Father are one as well, because the same I-ness that Joshua, Jesus, is the same I-ness that you are as well. But again, that is something you must come to understand at a later date, when we do self-introspection and self-inquiry. But until then, we will continue to see the world as being outside of me. You will continue to see people as being other than you. There will always be pain, there will always be suffering. And this, what I'm trying to say is that this solution to all of this suffering and this separation and this fear and this guilt, is to come to know thyself. And this is the only way. And until that has happened, there will always be pain and there will always be suffering. So back to what I'm saying.
So quick recap. I thank everybody for watching the stream. However, please continue to like, share, subscribe, and follow on all that good stuff. I'm live every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 p.m. So something that I would like to go over very briefly before I move any further. Like I said, the guilt came from early childhood as well, from our parents, when we did certain things. Our parents scolded us, good boy, good girl, bad boy, bad girl, like almost like a dog. The reward and punishment. We get something good when we do something good. We get something bad when we do something bad, like the Santa Claus whole naughty child get colds and all that. So we were programmed from a child before we knew anything about any religion. We were programmed from a child way before we ever went to church, way before we knew anything about God. We had that concept of guilt instilled in us. We had that concept of fear instilled in us from early childhood psychology. We had that concept of, if I behave poorly, there will be some type of repercussion. If I behave nicely, I could be rewarded. And so that same concept went with us throughout life as we became older, and then we got introduced to other concepts such as religions and different groups of ideologies and belief systems and so forth. And those religion groups further uh, instill that belief system in us. If we do not act accordingly, we will be punished. If we act accordingly, we will be rewarded. So we always had that instilled in us from day one. So when we, by the time we got older and we went to church, the church pretty much finalized it. And the same way the parents had the control over us, like I said, because of the fear, having the fear our boss, having the fear anyone for that matter of fact, who had the ability to punish us. That same affair, that same concept trickled over to our higher powers as well, thinking that this deity, God, whatever you may call it, will have the ability to punish us. And the same guilt same guilt that was instilled in us from our parents, that too also trickled down over us when we got to church and so forth. And again, the leaders knew this. Certain spiritual leaders knew that fear and guilt are some of the things that we can control the masses by if we have them to be afraid, and if we have them feeling guilty and always feeling condemned and always feeling like filthy dirty rags, always not feeling good enough, always feeling like just you're not worthy. Then you always would need some type of remission of sin. You would always need some type of, you would always feel guilty. You will never feel like you'll be good enough to enter the kingdom of heaven. So these tactics, if I may say, were used on the human psyche, the human mind, to control us in some way, shape, or form. If we don't do this, we do this, we do this. You're damn if you do, and you're damn if you don't. It's like it's again a big reward and punishment system going on. So again, that is the two connections with the fear and then the guilt, and then we're gonna go into greed as well. But we'll see as we go on and on and on. If we take away these things, there will be almost nobody believing in a God, because there would technically be no fear and there would be no guilt, no fair punishment, no shame, no nothing, no. So we'll see this as we go on. So again, I thank you guys for sticking in there. This is a very deep philosophical mind sponsored life transformation channel. So I appreciate you guys sticking in there this far.
So far, we covered fear, being afraid of punishment, guilt, being embarrassed, feeling shame, feeling guilty, because that guilt comes from feeling separate from the source, and there is no separation from the source. Feeling unworthy, feeling not enough, feeling not good enough, feeling like you are trash. And the reason you feel that way because you got the impression that you are made of dirt, and so you believe that you are made of dirt. You believe you are of filthy rags. You believe these concepts about yourself. And so therefore, if you've been told all these things and you do not know who you are, it is most likely that you would believe that you are just dirt and you are of filthy rags. And so therefore, the concept what I'm talking about here today is that you are not dirt, you are not filthy rags. Maybe from an illusory perspective, the false self could be considered dirt or filthy rags because the false self does not exist at all. So that could be the only thing if you want to label something as or filthy rags would be the illusory self. But from a deeper perspective, you are none of those negative things. You are the pure awareness, the pure consciousness, Atman, the pure Brahma. You are the pure reality, and the only reality that cannot be tarnished, that does not have any fear, that does not know shame, does not know guilt, does not experience any of these negative things. Just like the TV screen, when something comes on the screen, the TV doesn't feel guilty about what it plays. It doesn't have any fear about any particular scene, a gun robbery scene or someone got shot. It doesn't care when the gunman shows up on the scene. It doesn't care when someone gets sick. It doesn't care when someone steals something or does something negative on the screen. The screen is a neutral thing. The true self is a neutral thing. It's perceiving all of these things or appearances that are activities of consciousness, but we take the activities to be true and we take the activities to be real. So again, back to what I was saying. So the final thing would be greed. Greed.
So before I go any further, so it's trying to set a foundation. That's why I said, in order to uh, eliminate the fear, the guilt, the pain, the suffering, is the root cause is not knowing who we are at the core. We need to first find out who we are and what we are. Again, not talking about objective labels. I am a teacher, I am a doctor, I'm a male, I'm a female, I'm a gardener, I'm a carpenter. No, I'm talking about the essence, the being, the very nature of who we are. That is why it says Jesus, Joshua Christos did not have to believe in God because he knew who he was at the core. So therefore, when you understand what you are at the core, you will understand that the core is untarnished. The true, real you cannot experience fear, nor guilt, nor shame, because that is like the screen. Like I said, technically, what you really are, for example, allegorically speaking, you are like a TV screen, which everything is played on that screen, and nothing actually literally affects the screen. These topics what I'm talking about are all non-duality subject matters. These are subjects from the Veda Vedanta, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism. These are more esoteric teachings from the East. These information would not be taught on more Abrahamic faiths. This information is not going to be taught in your traditional religious organizations. No. So therefore, again, from a non-dualist perspective, when you do not see yourself as separate, that is the root cause of the suffering, seeing yourself as separate from the source, seeing yourself as being separate from God. So therefore, if you see yourself separate from the bully, you could be afraid of the bully. When you see yourself being separate from your boss, you could be afraid of your boss. When you see yourself being separate from your parents, you could be afraid of your parents. But if you see yourself as the same part of the same source as the thing we call God, there will be less to no fear, because you will realize at the core, the essence of who you are, the consciousness, the awareness, that that thing is you as well. You're just delusional, believing that you are a separate entity from that thing. And that is what awakening is all about. Awakening is coming to that realization, that self-realization at the core of who you are, the essence of who you are as well. So that is what the root cause is. All my foundational videos about establishing that ground first, and then we could find out about other subject matters, as you will find out as well. So the next thing we're going to talk about so far is greed. And just for the record, these videos were created, I think, about 8 months ago. These videos are fairly new, and I'm doing a self-reaction. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm watching a video for the very first time. Oh, maybe my perspective have changed. I don't know. That's why I'm saying I haven't seen the video from since the videos were created. I don't know what I'm going to say next. I'm just going over it, self-reaction. So again, the next subject matter seems to be greed.
Greed, greed. We all know greed. Greed, we want this, we want that. I want this, I want that. And so until greed, again, desire as being a root cause, also major root cause of all suffering, until we take control of this greed, we will also always cause pain and suffering to someone else, because we will always want more. We will always put things, material things, before the nature of the being, of human beings, of ourselves. Look at countries. Countries suffer. Countries are raped, robbed, and pillaged because of greed. Other people have come and taken over places, and just in the name of greed, they take resources from places. Some places have some of the most precious resources in the world, and these people are some of the most poorest people in the world. How could that be? Someone was greedy. Someone had greed. There are kings. There are leaders. There are people who come into the community to help the community. Members of parliament, kings, queens, governments, and different people come in the community, and they say that, hey, we're here to help. And as soon as some money comes along, or opportunity for them to make some more money, or opportunity comes and they have to sell out, they will sell out because greed, because they believe that the greed when they get the thing, it's going to make them happy. And however, that is not the case. So that is why we need to get a good grip on this greed also as well, because this greed thing started from a child when we was young. You know, I want this, I want that, and we never, every Christmas we want more toys, every day, every this birthday we want that. The list goes on and on. When you got older, I want a car. When you got older, I want a girlfriend. I want a house. I want a house with a picket fence. I want a dog. I want a cat. You know what I'm saying? I don't want a rat, but we just want. And this greed is insatiable. So until we come to understand the true nature of the true self, which has no greed, has no desire, has no need, has no lack, has no want, we'll always be greed infested. We will always have desires, and we will always suffer, because the false self only thinks that it will find happiness in objects. It feels that it will find happiness in another. It feels that it will find happiness in some type of thing. If I get this job, I will be happy. If I get this car, I will be happy. If I get in this relationship, I will be happy. If I get this house, I will be happy. But as we all know who have gotten things and have achieved the goals, when the goal was achieved and accomplished, the happiness just pretty much lasted for a very brief fleeting moment, and the happiness went away as well. So we all know how that feels to want something, and we think that when we get it, it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And after a period of time, the feeling is, it goes away again. Watch my video on who am I, talking about the objects and subjects, and that will give you a much better understanding of what I'm talking about as well. And for most of you guys who remember ever getting a car or anything, a car, a shoe, anything, when that thing was brand new, even a shoe, let's use a shoe. When that shoe was brand new, man, we didn't want anybody to even step on our shoe. We try to walk over puddles of water. We try to avoid mud, especially if it was a white shoe. Man, like, yeah, we did everything under the sun to avoid this thing getting tarnished. And after a few months, it got a little scratch here, a little there, dinged around and smudged around. And after probably a few months, now the shoe, we walking around it like it's a yard. Shoes we wear in the yard, and we do the lawn in it, and we pick up trash in it. We go to work and we do the most dirtiest things in the shoe. So just like even a car, when we first get a car, we put all this emphasis on cleaning the car. We put so much emphasis on trying to make sure the car is polished. And after a period of time, couple of years, the car starts to deteriorate, and the bills and finance things start to come up with the car. You start to lose the attraction of the car. If you look at, for example, if you look at every car on the streets right now that's driving past, you see an old car. That car was once new. You might not believe it or not, but that car was once had plastic on the seat. That car had the fresh scent of newness. Just like a baby, when a baby is born, a baby has a particular scent only a baby has, no matter what, and that scent wears off in time. After they start to eat certain food, they start to sweat and start to excrete certain things from hormones and certain bodily fluids. That baby scent goes away. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. Everything is impermanent. Nothing is permanent. So that is why I'm saying that greed also is a sensation that we cannot fulfill. No matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, we will always feel some type of dissatisfaction as time goes on as well. So the three things, once again.
So, like I was saying, so from a child, we had this desire for things. We wanted this, we wanted that, we wanted toys, we wanted food, we wanted ice cream. We just wanted, and we just want. And then as we got older, we also had a desire for the things, a lot more bigger things. When we were younger, we had a desire for, like I said, candy and bubble gum, small things. And as time went on, like I said, when we get the thing, over a period of time, we realize, like, hey, the thing was really not that really important as much as we thought. When we saw the shoe in the window, and we felt like, hey, I want that shoe. And then when we got the shoe, and we took so much good care of it, we try to walk so nice and try to not scruff it up, and then after a period of time, the shoe got a little bit of a few little scuff marks and a little mud here and there, and a little, and so forth. And after a period of time, the shoe didn't have the same effect that it had on our psyche when it was brand new. And then after a period of time, we started to do a little work around the house in the shoe. We started to kick the shoe around, and after a period of time, now we're in the yard mowing the lawn with the shoe. And so after X amount of time, everything tend to loses its luster. Like I said, you got a car, you buy a car brand new. The car has the plastics on the seat. You put all this effort on trying to clean the car. You put the effort in trying to do all these things to the car, air freshener and so forth and so forth. After a period of time, the car is not gonna no longer have the same effect on you as well. And like I said, also if you look on the streets, you might see some cars that appear to be somewhat broken down or dilapidated. But however, those cars at one point in time, those cars were actually brand new cars with plastics on the seat as well. And look at those cars today. So everything is that way. Even the human beings, as human beings, when we were brand new as a baby. We had a particular scent, like I said, and over a period of time, that scent wore off when we started to eat certain foods, and we grew older and we started to sweat and so forth and so forth. There's nothing on this planet that is permanent. There's nothing on this planet that lasts forever. So when we have greed as being something that dominates our lives over a period of time, we tend to want more and more and more and more and more, and then over a period of time, the greed is never actually uh, controlled. We could never, ever, ever get to the bottom of it, all because we don't know who we are, thinking that when we get the thing, we will become happy, thinking that when we find the car, the house, the job, the money, the Rolex, what I'm saying, the diamonds, the pearls, whatever it may be, whatever we feel that when we get this thing, we think that that thing is going to actually solve the problem. But in 99.9% of the time, it is not going to solve the problem. The problem is still going to be there, and you're just going to want something else, and you're going to continuously want more and more, and the greed is never going to be fulfilled, because that's the way it is. Until we come to know who we are, then the greed can actually start to dissipate. But until then, we will always be wanting more and more and more.
Fear, greed, and guilt. Those are three of the main reasons, three of the main reasons why we believe in God. Because if God did not do anything for us, I can guarantee you there will be less people believing in God. And for example, if you ask somebody who may be of a particular faith or a particular belief, if you ask, say, you go and ask, uh, I'm not picking on a particular belief system. I'm not saying any system that we're talking about. If you ask someone who is a particular belief, uh, again, by no means I am picking on anyone. I'm just saying, if you ask a Christian if they believe in Buddha or anything of that sort, they would say, no, we do not believe in Buddha or whatever, whoever, or even vice versa in some cases, many cases. However, that is why Buddhists are neutral per se. But anyhow, I'm not here to talk about the different beliefs and systems. However, they do not believe in a Buddha because they believe that there is no belief that Buddha can help them. You see what I'm saying? They don't even know that Buddha was a real human being. You see what I'm saying? So that's a whole different subject in itself. But the Buddha was a real human being. That's the enlightened one. That's like Christ being the anointing, the Buddhist, the enlightened one, and all of these different characters. Some of these characters, such as Buddhists, actually existed, unlike some characters that we believe exist, but there's no evidence of some of these things, which brought me to some memory that I had way back in the day when I went to college, which was one of the reasons I started to question some of these things, because for the first time I took a philosophy class. I never took a philosophy class, and the philosophy, one of the first things they tell you is to question everything, and that was kind of, I was kind of dumbfounded when I first understood this philosophy principle to question everything, and I said, what, question everything? And then
So let me just, before I go too far along without skipping over that fact. So again, we believe and what we believe because we believe that there is some type of reward for us. We believe in the God that we believe in because we believe that that God can do something for us. So those of us, like I said, whatever faith you might be, let's say, for example, you're of the Abrahamic faith, you may believe in Jesus because you believe Jesus can save you. Again, I am not here to pick on any particular belief system. I'm here to get you to question why you believe what you believe. So you believe that Jesus can save you and Jesus can save you from eternal damnation. That is the reason you believe in Jesus Christos, Joshua. But you do not believe in any other deity. You do not believe. In fact, like I said, Buddha was a real person, and the Buddhists do not worship Buddha. Most individuals might not be aware of that. They might follow the teachings and the way of Buddha, the practices of Buddha, but Buddhists do not worship Buddha. Buddha simply means the enlightened one. But however, like I said, so if you ask a Christian, do they believe, or anyone from Abrahamic faith, do they believe in Buddha? They would say no. And the reason they would say no is because they don't believe in Buddha because they believe Buddha cannot save them. Buddha cannot do anything for them. If the story was flipped around and Buddha was the savior and Buddha was the one saving individuals from going to hell, majority of the people would be Buddhists. Do you understand? So no matter if Shiva was the one who had the story to save individuals from going to hell, the majority of the individuals would believe in Shiva. So our belief system is just based on who we believe can save us. That is what we believe. Why we believe in individuals, because we believe those individuals can save us. I can't remember who it was. It was one of the late, I think it was Dawkins or one of those guys, very, very known atheist. But he said that what he said was interesting. He said that everyone is an atheist to some degree. It's just that those who believe in a particular God, they are just one God away from being an atheist. So again, the reason anyone of the Abrahamic faith do not believe in the Buddha or Shiva or Brahma or anyone of that sort is because they simply do not believe that those guys or those gods can help them. If they believe that those deities could have helped them, majority of the people would be Buddhists or believing in Shiva or Allah or whatever the case may be. But the reason we believe in our beliefs is because we believe that our God can save us. And if our God if the story about our God was not able to save us, there would be no reason to believe in our God. Like I said, if there was no fear of punishment and hell and damnation, there would be less believers. If there was no guilt, shame, and condemnation, there would be less believers. If there was no greed, if individuals were not wanting this, wanting that, I believe God is going to take care of me. I believe God is going to look out for me. God is like a bank account, a psychological bank account that individuals go to withdraw psychological and emotional and spiritual withdrawals from, to add to their psychological deposits. So if there was none of these things, you would not believe. And the reason I'm saying this is the reason you believe in your belief is because you have a belief in all of these. You believe all of these things about your God. So if you did not believe, if you did believe all of these things, if you believe Buddha could do all of these things, you would have believed in Buddha. But because you do not believe Buddha could save you, Buddha cannot help you, Buddha can't do anything for you, you do not believe. So we must understand, first and foremost, I started this video saying that the majority of our belief systems is based on selfishness. Selfishness, looking out for numero uno, thinking that we will benefit something from having this belief, because if there was no benefit to our beliefs, we would not have the belief, point blank. If you did not believe God could save you from hell, brimstone and fire, you would not believe in God. If you did not believe God could heal you when you're sick or help you through trials and tribulations, you would not believe in God. If you did not believe God could redeem you from your sins and wash your blood away in the blood and the lamb and all that stuff, you would not believe, point blank. And the reason I say it's a fact, because you do not believe the other gods could do it for you, so you don't believe in them as well. Point taken.
When I took some classes about religion and some other stuff that made me look into some of these beliefs and so forth and so forth. And it kind of really blew my mind. And then I came across a particular, uh, I will not name the belief, but there was something called the something dilemma. For those of you who might know what I'm talking about, it's called the something dilemma. I don't want to say the particular religion, but I came across that when I was studying philosophy and religion. And this thing that says something dilemma states that there is no evidence that some of these people even ever existed. And I started to explore more and more and more. And I was like, wow, I mean, how could this be true? How could we have all of these beliefs and believe in all of these things and the people never even existed? This is like ludicrous. This is like, I don't even know what to say. You know, so that was one of the first things, experiences that I had that opened my eyes up to look further and deeper and to not just believe everything we hear without evidence. And the only thing, like I said, I could prove or have evidence is that I exist, consciousness exists, awareness exists, and I am that being, that pure awareness, that pure consciousness. And anything other than that, I cannot really, I cannot prove that, I cannot prove that it exists. So again, back to philosophy, having the ability to understand that philosophy is about questioning everything. So from that point on, I started to question, I started to look deeper and deeper and deeper, and I looked in, there's so many different beliefs, so many different religions, and all of these beliefs and all of these religions, you know, it all boiled down to people having beliefs but not really knowing who they are as well. So again, if you believe what you believe because you believe there's some type of benefit in it for you. You believe in this particular God or this particular entity because you believe there's something in it for you. If there was nothing in it for you, you would not believe in that thing. And that is the reason why most people believe in their faith and their belief is because they believe selfishly that there is something in it for them. And the other beliefs that they do not believe is because they believe that that particular God or that particular entity cannot do anything for them. Point blank, that is the reason. And we all know that our beliefs are solely made or came about based on our location of birth. If you were born in a particular culture, it is most likely highly that you would carry that belief system with you as well, because your parents had it, your neighbors had it, the children and the people in your community had the same belief. So we have somewhat what they call a herd mentality. A herd mentality is basically sheep following the blind. And so that is why most of us believe what we believe, because our parents told us to go here and to go there and to do this and to do that, and we believe it as well. And then when we look at the community, we see the masses believe in it, so we say, hey, it must be true. And then when we turn on the TV, we see more people believe in it, so hey, it definitely got to be true. So that is one of the reasons why we also believe the things we believe, because it's not necessarily in our nature to believe it. It's because of our conditioning, our environment, things of that sort. If you were born in a certain region of the world, you would have that particular belief system as well. It is almost unlikely that you would believe in something other than your natural inclination to believe what everybody else believes as well. So I think I'm going to end on that. This is another.
So just want to go back and recap before I kind of go over that, because that was very important too. In fact, everything is important. But like I said earlier, when I was in college sometime back, way back in the day, like at least 10,000 years ago, at least 10,000 plus, I should say. I went to college and I took my very first philosophy class. My very first philosophy class. I've never studied philosophy at all. And one of the first things that I learned when I studied philosophy was that the philosophy, you should question everything. That is what philosophy is all about. Question everything. Question, when I said everything, there's nothing that philosophy does not question. Question your belief systems, question your identity, question why you believe what you believe. And so that was my first introduction uh, to philosophy. So I didn't really, I wasn't really, like I said, didn't have any real previous uh, understanding about what philosophy was. But however, doing my studies, when I was studying some type of, I don't know how I got to it, but when I was studying in philosophy and I came across something that blew me away, there was something in philosophy that was called the Christian dilemma. And so when I read the Christian dilemma, it blew me away because the Christian dilemma said that there was no actual evidence of any type of biblical fact, of any type of biblical person ever existed. And Christos, Joshua, Jesus, all of these individuals, these characters, there was no, and that was the thing that I read in the book, and I was like, wow, what type of, why I never thought of this before. So that was my first introduction to questioning my beliefs, because now I heard about this, I found out about this Christian dilemma, like I said, during college, and I was kind of blown away. That how could I believe all of these stories? How could I believe all of these different beliefs? And there's not even one piece of evidence, even that one of these individuals ever existed. I was kind of dumb. I was left dumbfounded. I couldn't believe all these years I had all of these beliefs about all of these stories, these Bible stories, the Noah and the fish and the ark and all these things. I had all of these beliefs until I studied that philosophy class. That simply opened my eyes up. And then I went and I took another class, and I took, because I was so enamored about this philosophy. I started to study every philosopher that I could come across, and it just further blew me away. I started to study about reality and all of these different subject, deep philosophical ideas. And then I took another class course called Magic, Witchcraft, and Religion. That class was basically talking about the history of religion, how some of our beliefs came about, where did they come from, and so forth and so on. And then I started to study the Bible, and I started to study the historical events, the canon, how the books were put together, and all of these different deep subject matters. The Council of Nicaea, the individuals who put who put the Bible together, and when did it come about, and I was like, whoa, something is not right. So I started to look even further. So I went down a never-ending rabbit hole, and those are my earlier days of when I first started my spiritual journey, when I started to question everything. And so therefore, but I realized that I was very unique in some degree, because I was one of the few individuals who was willing to question their belief, because most individuals, once we believe what we believe, that is set in stone. Most of us would never, ever, ever question our beliefs. We would never question why we believe what we believe. And I think that's a very, very dangerous thing to believe, because, again, that is why we're having so much different problems in the world today, because individuals are doing things to each other based on beliefs. They're doing things based on what they're being told to do, and they actually have no idea why they are doing it. Some of our leaders, someone are telling us, hey, do this because of this. And then we just go ahead and do it, and we take lives, and we do all of these atrocious things in the name of belief, in the name of God, in the name of doing justice, but we have no real understanding of what we are doing and why we are doing it. So again, beliefs are not just harmless. I believe believing in itself is very, very dangerous. If we believe in something and we have no real reason to believe it, and then we're not, on top of that, we're naive and we're gullible to the point where we're so brainwashed that anyone who comes along and tries to tell us anything else, just like Plato's cave, like I said, Plato's cave, the individuals were bound by chains. There was chain in the front of the screen, and they saw what they saw, and they believed that to be reality. Most of us have the same concept, like we're in Plato's cave. We believe what we see to be reality, not realizing that everything that we see are simply shadows. And when one individual gets away, breaks out of it, breaks the chain, climbs up into reality, sees the real world for what it is, comes back down and tells the others, hey, what you're seeing is not true, what you're seeing is a delusion, and what you're seeing is delusion, individuals are willing to kill you for their beliefs. So it's a very, very, very sad situation that we tend to waste our minds, and our minds have us believing in fairy tales. Again, religion is the only area that we are allowed to believe in the impossible and in fairy tales, and it's accepted. If someone was to say, There was a story about a duck. We don't believe the story of Humpty Dumpty. We don't believe the story of Cinderella. We don't believe any of those stories. But however, we will believe anything once it's in a particular book or was said to be told by our particular religious leaders or spiritual preachers. Again, like I said, it was because of going to college 1,000 years ago, studying philosophy for the first time, which gave me the ability to question everything, and that was the foundation of me starting to look into why I believe what I believe, and that was one of the foundations what allowed me to look deeper and to also help individuals to teach and to actually expand individuals their belief systems as well. So with that being said, I just think it's it's detrimental to the mind, to the soul, to waste the mind on fairy tales and beliefs that we have no evidence to believe as well. And if you are a person and you're that dogmatic to look and see, then hey, it is what it is. But again, it's not a healthy way to go.
Video in reference to, again, part one, what is love, and then part two, who am I, and this is the part three, uh, God is a stepping stone. So we use God as a stepping stone to achieve goals, to relieve our fear, to achieve our greed, and to resolve or dissolve our guilt. And those are the main three reasons why we believe in God. And if you take away all of those things, 99.9, you would not believe in God. If you had no fear, you would not believe in no God. If you had no guilt, you would not believe in a God. If you had no greed, you most likely would not believe in a God as well. It is your own selfishness, your own greed that is causing you, your own fear that is motivating you to believe the things that you believe. And that is why we believe the things so strongly at all costs, even if it pretty much is, again, delusional, or we do not have any facts to solidify those beliefs. We just believe them at all costs because we believe there's something in it for us. But however, the solution to all of this is, again, to know thyself. Who am I? Come to an understanding from an Advaita Vedanta perspective and see that you are the true self. You are the unchanging. You are the thing that cannot have fear. You are the thing that does not have any greed. You are the thing that does not have guilt. So the solution, again, is to come to a true understanding, not a belief of who you are, but to know who you are. And when you come to know who you are, your suffering will end, because there will be no you to suffer. There will be no you to experience the fear. There will be no you to have the guilt. There will be no you to have the shame and the greed. However, I'm not saying that these things will dissolve and disappear. There will still be remnants of it because you still live in the reality. And there's nothing wrong with having desires, getting things or wanting things, however. But when those things are not understood to be the primary, the fundamental thing of who you are, of your happiness, then you are barking up the wrong tree. That is why Joshua, Jesus said, Yeshua said, the seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and all these things to be added unto you. So until we seek who we are and find out who we are and know who we are, not to believe who we are, you don't have to believe you exist. You don't have to believe you are real. You don't have to believe the I in you is true. You know you are true. You know you exist. And that is what I'm talking about here today. We are talking about to know thyself as being the solution to all the fear and all the shame and all the guilt and all the greed. And that way, when this is achieved, then and only then, we will dissolve the desires to use God as a stepping stone and see God for what it is or who it is, and that God and what it is and who it is in you, is you, as you, being perceived as the external world, the illusory self, believing that you are less than this being we call God. On that note, I'm going to end this video, and once again, Triple P, and I'm out.
Oh.